Hello and welcome to this edition of Inside Judicial Watch. I'm your host, Jerry Dunleavy. Today we're going to be discussing the latest developments in the Clinton email scandal, ranging from Judicial Watch's new lawsuit related to Clinton server emails found on Anthony Weiner's laptop, the ongoing lack of a required damage assessment related to Clinton's mishandling of classified information, Judicial Watch's upcoming federal court hearing related to the Clinton email scandal, and the latest developments in terms of the classified Clinton emails that Judicial Watch has uncovered. And here to discuss all of these issues, to shine some light on all of these issues and more, is Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton.
Derek.
Tom, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So Tom, before we really dive into all the details, when we're talking about the Clinton email scandal here and all of the related issues, start off by maybe answering the question, President Trump won the 2016 election. So some people might ask, why should we still care about this? Is that, go ahead and answer that question for us.
Well, fundamentally, it's a rule of law question. Are you going to have law breaking by senior government officials like Hillary Clinton and just allow them to get away with it because it's too difficult politically for the establishment class in Washington, D.C. to do anything about it? Or frankly, in the case of Hillary Clinton, where you had the Justice Department and the FBI corruptly hijacked in order to protect her. And the dilemma for the Trump administration, it frankly ought not to be a dilemma, but evidently the Justice Department and the FBI are afraid to undo the corruption of the prior administration, at least as it relates to the cover-up of the Hillary Clinton email scandal. A scandal that Judicial Watch uncovered.
Now, Judicial Watch uncovering it, give our viewers just the briefest rundown in how Judicial Watch uncovered it and sort of how that ties into our latest lawsuit related to emails found on Anthony Weiner's laptop.
Well, it's kind of a longer story than even Anthony Weiner's laptop's involvement, which came in after the fact. But we were investigating the Benghazi cover-up, and we noticed there were no Hillary Clinton emails all the way back when, in 2014. So we pushed harder. We filed another lawsuit against the State Department. We also had lawsuits for information about her conflicts of interest. Remember all that cash she was getting from abroad. So in response to those FOIA lawsuits, they basically had to fess up to Judicial Watch that there were these emails they never told us about. All the government business that Hillary Clinton conducted on this private server without telling the courts, the Congress, or the American people. And it was all designed to hide everything she was doing, at least as it relates to emails. And it was Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information Act lawsuits that uncovered it. So it resulted eventually in the emails being produced. In one of these cases related to Huma Abedin, who was her top aide, who was the only other State Department official, as best we can tell, who had an email account on Hillary Clinton's server. We had that case reopened because we were asking questions about her. They told us they searched everywhere, but they didn't tell us they hadn't searched Hillary Clinton's emails. So the case was reopened, which was historic. And the judge in that case authorized discovery, which meant that Abedin had to come in and testify. Cheryl Mills had to testify to Judicial Watch lawyers under oath, top State Department officials. And Hillary Clinton didn't testify in person, but she had to answer questions under oath, written questions. So Judicial Watch, in many ways, was doing more work, and honest work, certainly, than we now know the FBI was doing at the time.
What if anything, was revealed through the testimony that Judicial Watch sort of forced out through our various lawsuits and that sort of thing?
Well, I think the big takeaway from the testimony was, I recall Huma Abedin, and she said, it was Hillary Clinton's idea to set up the server. It wasn't anyone else's, it was her idea because she wanted to keep her business private. And that's not a lawful reason, and it's a corrupt reason to do what she did. And ironically, going forward, later that year in 2016, the FBI, as a result of an investigation into Abedin's then husband, Anthony Weiner, uncovered Clinton server emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop, which was incredible. Now, they tried to cover that up. Comey was forced to tell Congress about it, and that kind of blew things up again just shortly before the election. And then Comey squelched the investigation again for Hillary Clinton a few days before Election Day. But Judicial Watch had gotten the emails, at least some of the emails, off of that system, the Clinton server emails off the Anthony Weiner laptop, and it turns out there was at least 18 classified documents on that system. And now we know recently that, based on reporting by Paul Sperry and Real Clear Investigations, and what Judicial Watch has been able to uncover, that they didn't look at all the government emails on that laptop. And so we've sued again to try to get all the government emails from the Weiner laptop. And again, it's Judicial Watch doing this. It's not the Justice Department, it's not the FBI, it's not Congress, it's Judicial Watch in court, oftentimes fighting the Trump agencies for access to this information.
So we have this new lawsuit trying to get access to all of, the new lawsuit related to Anthony Weiner's laptop. We've had lawsuits in the past related to the emails on Clinton emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop. So what is new or different about our latest lawsuit?
Well, we suspect there were more emails that the FBI found than that they turned over to the State Department. So essentially the State Department gave us what the FBI gave to them. We don't think the FBI did a full search and looked at all the emails in order to turn them over to State. So we sued the FBI directly, give us everything you found on the Weiner laptop.
So previously we had been basically getting whatever the State Department had been given from the FBI, but now we're telling the FBI directly we want everything.
That's right, and Paul Sperry reported that Peter Strzok, the corrupt FBI official who was handling both the Clinton email investigation and the Russia investigation, only pulled a select number of emails from the Anthony Weiner system, or the Clinton emails found on the Anthony Weiner laptop. So it looks like there may be other documents that need to be reviewed by the FBI in response to our FOIA lawsuit, which we don't sue just because we like to sue. We sue because we're not getting answers as required under law. So this is law breaking by the FBI in terms of transparency and secrecy matters, and we're having to sue our federal law enforcement agencies to get them to obey the law.
Now, you mentioned Peter Strzok, and I think that we actually recently found a little bit of information about his involvement in all of this from some of the emails I think that we had gotten already on Anthony Weiner's laptop.
Well, Peter Strzok was, these are emails about the handling of the Weiner laptop fiasco, because it is a fiasco. Peter Strzok wrote or drafted the initial letter, created the initial draft of the letter that Comey sent to Congress telling them about the Weiner laptop. Also, it looks like the documents show that Comey closed the investigation just shortly before the election, despite strong evidence that they hadn't reviewed all the material. So he didn't know what evidence they had before he said there's no more evidence of criminality, which was bunk to begin with. But it shows you that Comey and Peter Strzok, once again, were smack dab in the middle of the Clinton Weiner laptop scandal.
And this is the same Strzok that I think the IG report mentioned that they couldn't rule out that his bias had influenced his handling of the Weiner laptop issue.
Right. The IG was concerned they found the Weiner laptop emails in September, so more or less, or at the beginning of September, and nothing was being done. And Comey admitted nothing was being done, and it's only after they feared someone was going to blow their whistle on it that a month later they told Congress about it. So it wasn't like they voluntarily disclosed it, or they disclosed it because it was the right thing to do. They disclosed it because they didn't want to be seen to be covering up something which they were really doing, which was covering it up.
Right. So let's take just a little bit of a step back, and if you could talk just a bit about some of what we've uncovered through our litigation, through forcing out all of these different emails. I mean, what have we found that is concerning, that's troubling? You know, what's been revealed that, you know, really shouldn't have been being done, on Clinton's private server?
Well, it's confirmation of what we generally know, but specifics about it. We know that she had and sent and received classified information. So we knew that from the 30,000 emails that were turned over by her to the State Department after our FOIA lawsuits forced the State Department to own up to them. Then we wanted the other emails that she had either deleted, attempted to delete, or otherwise hid from the American people. So those emails that she didn't turn over, we've uncovered contain classified information. So she was deleting or otherwise hiding classified information. That's pretty powerful stuff. And in addition, we have the Weiner laptop materials that show classified information migrated onto the Weiner laptop, including the identity of a CIA official. And anyone else would have been arrested. Anyone else would have been convicted or, prosecuted in the least. But Hillary Clinton and her aides who were involved in this have gotten off scot-free thus far. And I think the most concerning thing is, we know what went on in the Justice Department during the Obama era with Comey and Lynch protecting Hillary Clinton. Why is this Justice Department protecting her? Why is this FBI refusing to uphold the rule of law? Are they ratifying and endorsing what went on during the prior administration? It's something that's troubling because I'm convinced the American people want accountability here. I'm pleasantly surprised that they haven't forgotten about Hillary Clinton's criminal conduct and her national security crimes. And Judicial Watch, again, seems the only one doing anything here.
So, related to that, can you talk a little bit about the Federal Records Act and sort of the obligations that Clinton had under these various rules and laws and regulations that she really just didn't follow?
Well, the Federal Records Act means essentially that you got to keep and maintain and can't destroy federal records, and which is Hillary Clinton took federal records and destroyed them. And it also requires, there are regulations in the Federal Records Act, that if an agency finds out that federal records have gone or been alienated from the agency, stolen or taken, like what happened with Hillary Clinton, they're supposed to tell the Justice Department about it. And then it's up to the Justice Department to follow up as appropriate, either with trying to get them or prosecution or whatever steps are available to them. Or maybe they do nothing, I don't know. But it's hard not to do nothing when a government agency tells you that our records are missing. You need to do something about it. So needless to say, the Justice Department and State Department under Barack Obama didn't want to follow the Federal Records Act requirements that they try to retrieve these records. And it involves the State Department simply sending a letter to the Justice Department. They didn't want to do that. So we sued in court. We lost initially at the lower court, but the appellate court said, look, unless there's absolutely nothing else that can be done to get these records, you've got to try to do something. So it went down to the lower court, and the lower court, said, no, we're still not going to do something. So it's on appeal again. But who were we fighting that second time around? The Trump Justice Department, Jeff Sessions' Justice Department, the State Department. They didn't want to go out and get Hillary's records. So it's this Justice Department, this State Department, that I'm sure President Trump doesn't endorse any of this, but these agencies, the deep state or political appointees who don't care about this issue, are protecting Hillary Clinton. Because if the State Department sent a letter to the Justice Department saying federal records have been alienated here, you need to do something to retrieve them, maybe Judicial Watch wouldn't have to sue for the Weiner laptop documents. Maybe the Justice Department would go see if they've been hacked from elsewhere, or hacked by Russia, or hacked by China. Really a dereliction of duty by the leadership of this Justice Department and FBI and frankly the State Department at this point, in not following up as the law requires and trying to retrieve the records Hillary Clinton wrongly took from the State Department.
Would you say that there's a noticeable difference in the way that this Justice Department and this State Department is handling this versus the way that the Obama Justice Department and State Department were handling it? Is it worse? Is it better? Does it seem pretty much like it's the same? I mean, what's going on here?
It's the same or worse than the Obama administration, which is just, I'm sure, disappointing to a lot of people who voted for President Trump. And President Trump is frustrated. He tweets all the time about the failure to turn over documents. The Justice Department and the FBI are black holes when it comes to the transparency law.
Yeah. Related to this, Judicial Watch has a lawsuit trying to compel a damage assessment.
Well, we had a lawsuit.
Well, we had a lawsuit, right.
Well, this is another interesting issue. So when you have good reason to believe classified information has been spilled,
right,
made public or otherwise put at risk, that it's likely to have been somehow compromised, you're supposed to conduct a damage assessment to see if there's been any damage to national security as a result of this compromised potential or otherwise of classified information. And of course, recently we had revelations that the Chinese had hacked Clinton's email server. Judicial Watch had reason to believe and shared it with the FBI, but Peter Strzok and his team did nothing with it, that the Russians may have hacked her server. So that would have warranted a damage assessment. They didn't want to do that under the under the Obama administration. Well, so we asked the Trump administration, are you going to do a damage assessment? James Comey said he assumed, even James Comey assumed that her system had been compromised. This Justice Department, this State Department, the Director of the Office of National Intelligence, who is now Senator Coates, former senator from Indiana, they don't want to do a damage assessment. They don't think they should be required to do a damage assessment, and in successfully fighting our lawsuit, at least at the lower courts, said that what Hillary did wasn't, the compromise of national security information wasn't serious enough to warrant a damage assessment. Again, outrageous in light of, I know what the president believes about this, he's quite public about it, but this is the deep state unthinkingly letting her, well, in many ways quite really thinking it through in terms of letting her get away with it. But these political appointees like Coates, and what is he thinking? Is he out to lunch on this? That he's going to let Hillary Clinton put all this information on the public equivalent of the internet equivalent of a public park bench and not do a damage assessment? I mean, we know that there were nearly 24 documents that had the highest security rating in terms of classified information. And they're not doing anything to figure out what damage has been done to the United States as a result of her leaving it out and wide open internet-wise.
In our lawsuit that we had filed, and I think it was last year that we had tried to force this damage assessment, we had referenced Comey's statement from 2016 where he had said that from the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department, 110 emails in 52 email chains had been determined to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 were top secret, 36 chains contained secret information, 8 contained confidential. So, I mean, it does seem like there's a bit of an issue there.
And we found more since then.
And we found more since then.
And they were on Weiner's laptop.
Right.
So did they figure out whether they were compromised by Weiner's laptop? We know what Anthony Weiner was into. He was involved in sexual escapades with underage people and doing odd things on the internet.
Which he's currently in jail for.
Yeah, he's in jail for it. I think the American people are right to demand justice here. And I don't know whether she should be ultimately prosecuted or not. I mean, I do know what I think should be done. But I think we all want just a fair investigation, one that isn't tainted by politics. I want the Justice Department to take their thumbs off the scale, stop protecting her, and do an adequate investigation.
So outside of the damage assessment that we want, what does a new or honest or open or redone investigation, what does that look like?
Well, we know from the Mueller investigation what a real investigation looks like. Grand juries,
yeah,
plea agreements, indictments.
people being put under oath and being held
You'd
accountable
know if it's
they
a
lie.
serious investigation.
Yeah.
I mean, we found out, Judicial Watch found out there were grand juries in the Clinton email matter through FOIA. We're still trying to get documents about what was going on in that FBI investigation. But again, this FBI, I think, has turned over, for every document they turn over, they withhold one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of material we don't know about.
So we have a federal court hearing coming up, I believe, on October 11th, related to some of these.
Next month now, yeah.
Next month, related to some of these issues. What's that hearing trying to resolve? What are the different motions that we have? What are we trying to get?
Well, there are several issues that we're trying to resolve, but the most important one for the purposes of this program is that Hillary Clinton, as I said earlier, was required to answer certain questions under oath to Judicial Watch about the creation and use of her email system. But there were several questions she refused to answer under oath and objected to it, which is her right under law, but we have a right to compel her. So we're fighting about compelling her to answer more questions under oath, generally speaking about why she continued to use or created the system despite warnings from security officials about the dangers inherent in her activities in terms of national security. So Mrs. Clinton, presumably her lawyers, will be there arguing in court why she shouldn't have to answer these questions. But isn't it unbelievable that it's this one private organization that has Hillary Clinton at least being held to account to a certain extent personally in court? Justice Department isn't doing it. In fact, I think they object to one of our efforts to compel her, and certainly Congress isn't doing anything either.
So, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground here. I think we've done a pretty good job of shedding some light on all of the different sort of things that Judicial Watch is trying to do, and sort of obviously the gaping holes in terms of what the Justice Department and FBI probably should be doing. What do you kind of see happening next? Do you have a prediction in terms of what's going to happen at federal court, or what this Justice Department or FBI is going to do? And I mean, what do you see Jeff Sessions doing? What do you see Christopher Wray doing? What do you see these agencies doing?
Oh, I think if what they hope to do is just weather the storm. You know, more information is going to come out about the misconduct and the cover-up of the Clinton email scandal by the Justice Department, the FBI, and probably the Obama White House. And they're hoping no one asks like Judicial Watch asks. They don't want the media asking this question. They don't want Congress asking this question. Why are you not doing anything about what went on here? Are you going to let Hillary Clinton get away with it? I mean, I think that's like the core question. Are you going to let Hillary Clinton get away with it? General Sessions should be asked this. The FBI director should be asked this. Other appropriate officials of the Justice Department should be asked this repeatedly. What are you doing about what Hillary Clinton did? And again, it's not just the Clinton emails, because we're suing on Uranium One. We're still fighting the administration, the State Department and Justice Department on Benghazi information as it relates to Hillary Clinton. We're fighting on this issue about her conflicts of interest at the State Department, where Bill Clinton was getting all this money in through his speaking fees from foreign governments and corporations and such, and you know, she didn't recuse herself from anything over there as a result. Where's the corruption investigation there? Why isn't there anything being done? And while at the same time they're going full bore after President Trump with this outlandish, out of control investigation created through corrupt means, and the very basis of it is corruption with Strzok and Page and having insurance policies and such. So the Justice Department is going full bore against President Trump while going full bore protecting Hillary Clinton. Astonishing. If you want to know if the deep state works or is an operation, you just have to see what's happening with Hillary Clinton and what's happening with President Trump in terms of investigations.
And just seeing sort of the level of seriousness that's being given to the Clinton investigation versus the Trump one.
It's disparate impact, disparate treatment, and the justice system, the Justice Department, They have zero credibility, as far as I'm concerned, with pretty much all political investigations, or investigations touching on any politician, until they figure out a way to clean this mess up as it relates to Trump and Clinton.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you coming on. I think that we helped answer a lot of questions. So I really appreciate your time. I'm going to have to bring you back on as we find new information, as we get more documents, as we move forward in the court process, and as the Justice Department or State Department either continue to stonewall or perhaps
or we get more documents.
We get more documents from them. So thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks,
very much appreciated. And thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, to keep up with all of Judicial Watch's work, make sure to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and make sure to follow Tom on Twitter as well, @TomFitton, if you want to see everything that we're up to on a day-to-day basis. Until next time, I'm Jerry Dunleavy for Inside Judicial Watch. Thanks for joining.